As Indiana football currently goes through its best season ever, now they have to worry, can they keep Curt Cignetti in Bloomington?
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Gauds. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen every single day or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, happy Monday, start of a new week. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Tons of Indiana Hoosiers things to get to. Had a good reaction recap episode yesterday, so if you missed that, be sure you go back and check that out on YouTube or on your audio podcasting platforms. And today we're going to take a look around the Big Ten in college basketball. A couple of teams have already slipped up. A couple of teams have some big wins already as well. Plus, take a deeper dive into Indiana's win from over the weekend against Eastern Illinois. Some things we liked, maybe some things we didn't like. But starting out today, the conversations are floating around. The reports are out there that Indiana and Curt Cignetti are in discussions to keep him here in Bloomington. And look, this is an absolute must. And you may say, well, yeah, that's obvious. Indiana has to keep the guy that's given them their best start in program history, that has them off to a 10-0 start for the first time in program history, and now currently has them as a top 5 team in the AP poll, right? College football playoff poll will come out on Tuesday night. And so, yeah, it's easy to say you have to keep him, you must keep him. But I don't think we truly understand how difficult that's going to be for both parties here, right? Think about this for a second. You've got a guy in Curt Cignetti who has, yes, won everywhere he has been. And he has just taken the biggest job he's ever had in terms of being a head coach. He's worked at big-time programs. I mean, the guy worked under Nick Saban at Alabama. But in terms of him being a head coach, right, this is his biggest job yet. This was the big jump that he needed, was to get to the Power 4 level. And he has stepped in and dominated. He has been perfect. He is yet to lose at this level. And believe me, there are 25 to 30, possibly even more, Power 4 college football programs that would fire their current head coach and would take Curt Cignetti right now. Right now, they would take him in a heartbeat, in an instant. And so think about this from both parties' sides here for a second. If you're Indiana, right, you think you just found your coach of the future. You have a dude that could possibly take you to a college football playoff. And so if you're Scott Dolson in Indiana, the athletic department, you've got to do everything you possibly can to keep him here in Bloomington. And according to the reports, it was first from Peaks.com. Everybody has since picked this up, where they are in conversations. And from what I can tell, Indiana's willing to do whatever they are physically able to do to keep him here, right? They're willing to pay him market value in terms of his contract, right, for Curt Cignetti, whatever the going rate is for big-time winning head coaches. But you also have to give him everything else to go along with it, right? Continue to upgrade facilities, continue to get NIL money in the door, right? And give him basically free range of whatever he needs and whatever he wants to do, he gets it. And sounds easier said than done, because it is easier said than done. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There are athletic departments and programs across the country that can pay him more and raise more in NIL money. It's just a fact. And so the thing that Indiana has to do is be competitive. Be competitive in that aspect. Then on the flip side of this, if you're Curt Cignetti, right, you got your big break, you've stepped into Indiana, you're beloved now in this town, in this state, you're the biggest story in college football this season. And I guarantee all those programs that need a new coach, that want a new coach, they're giving you a call. They're calling your agent. They're calling you to come and say, hey, why don't you come take a step up? Why don't you come and take that next step and be the head coach at this place or our place or wherever the case may be? And they're going to be throwing everything that they have at Curt Cignetti as well. More money, NIL, anything they can offer, right? They're going to say, oh yeah, I'm sure that job was pretty okay, but how about you come and be here? And let's be real. As I've said, they probably have more to offer. And so if you're Curt Cignetti, you're sitting back and you're looking at all this and you're thinking, wow, this is all happening really, really fast. What do I do? Do I stay here, a place that I just now got started at? My first year here, we're already having great success. Recruiting is picked up like crazy. We're on the verge of making a college football playoff. And do I stay in the place and continue to build what I've already started, which I built from the ground up? Or do I possibly take another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? I don't know who's coming and calling. We don't know that yet. We don't know what programs actually are interested in Curt Cignetti. Florida was a big one that I thought could be a legitimate concern, but then they come out and they say Billy Napier's going to stay, and then they get smacked around by Texas. So don't know on that one, but programs like that, if they come calling, man, the inner me would struggle on that decision. So thankfully, I'm not Curt Cignetti in this situation, in this spot, but my gut feeling tells me he wants to be here. The fact that they're at least having these conversations already, it also tells me that Indiana is getting out ahead of this thing, and they're saying, hey, let's keep him here. Let's go ahead and get these negotiations started right now before the playoff gets going, postseason gets going, and he has other things to worry about, right? Because how many times have you seen that? A coach makes a deep run, and then a week after the season, boom, he's gone. Because those negotiations with other schools, they happen just like that. It's a done deal. They come calling. They offer a boatload of money. You got to take it or go right then and there. And so Indiana's trying to avoid all of that. And if you're Curt Cignetti, man, don't you want to stay? Don't you want to stay and see where this can go, how high this can go? Look, if you leave in 5 or 6 years, I get that. But don't leave now. You just got here. You have so much more work to do. And this could be really, really special at Indiana for the football program. We'll keep you updated as it goes. But the question is, can Indiana keep him? And all the reasons why, they're pretty obvious for the football program. Well, coming up on Locked On Hoosiers, we'll take a deeper dive into Indiana basketball's win over Eastern Illinois on Sunday. The score looked good. Didn't look great in the first half. Saw some trends that have me a little concerned. We'll have that coming up for you next on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So, when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. If you've been placing money on the Chiefs, you just keep winning because that's what they do. They just keep winning. I thought Bo Nix and the Broncos had it on Sunday, but not so much. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much for being here, and shout out to all of my everydayers, those of you on all of your audio podcasting platforms, and those of you that are watching on the YouTube side as well. Numbers are going crazy. We're having a lot of fun. Crossover season is a lot, and there's so much to cover, and I'm glad that you're here. We're having a ton of fun, and thank you truly for making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. If you're on the audio side, be sure that you are following us and have those notifications turned on. Wouldn't want you to miss any episodes, especially bonus episodes like we had yesterday. Okay, so be sure to go and check that out and have your notifications turned on. Same thing for those of you on YouTube watching the video right now. Be sure that you like the video each and every time you're here. Comment down below your thoughts. Can Indiana keep Curt Cignetti? It's the big question right now, other than can we beat Ohio State, is can we keep the head coach around? So drop your thoughts on that down below. And then be sure, if you have not already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Man, our subscriptions have gone through the roof. We just passed 3,400 subscribers, well on our way to 3,500. So thank you so much for being a part of it. Really, really do appreciate all of you here at Locked On Hoosiers. Well, I want to take a deeper dive into Indiana basketball and their win over Eastern Illinois on Sunday. I described this on the reaction episode this weekend about, if you look at the score, right? I described it as if somebody was scrolling on their phone or going on a website and just looking at scores, right, in college basketball. You look at this and say, wow, 90-55, Indiana, great win. That's a lot of points. Good for them. But for us that watched it, we were like, whew, yeah, we were stressing for, 25 minutes of this game, of the 40 of actual game time. But at the end of the day, Indiana wins 90-55. I mean, you get a 35-point win. And the fact that an Indiana basketball team put up 90 points right before this, I would have bet that the football team had a better chance to put up 90 than basketball at this moment. But you do put up 90 points in a basketball game. So it does show that we have the offensive capability. It's in there way deep down inside, right? You got to go find it, but it is in there. And you look at some of these stats, okay? As a team, Indiana shot 61%. That's good. That was not an issue a year ago. The issue a year ago was all of that was inside the paint. Nothing was more than about 15 feet away from the basket. Here's something that should get you a little excited, all right? You shoot 6 of 18 from 3. You're shooting 33% again. Game 1, you were in the 30s as well. Here you are. You're shooting 33% from downtown. 6 of 18 is fine. 33% is fine. And that included several wide open missed threes as well. So think about that. I truly believe that when this team is in its full rhythm, when they're playing like they did in the second half with energy and confidence and sort of a flow, I think this could be nearly a 40% three-point shooting team, which would rank up there near the highest in the country, especially in the Big Ten, right? And if you're shooting 40% from downtown, you're a real threat. You're a real problem on the offensive end of the floor, because I know, everybody knows that Indiana's going to put the ball inside. They are going to find their big men inside the painted area. But if you have the ability to shoot the three, I don't care if it's in the half court, which seemed a little rare the other day, or in transition. How about that? Did you notice that? That not only, well, we're going to get to pushing the basketball in a second, but when we did push the basketball, we were like, hey, he's open on the three-point line. Let's kick it out to him, and let's see if it works, or throw it back to Luke Goody, who straight away and knocks it down. That's what Indiana was missing last year. And so that's what gets me a little bit excited. Am I fully impressed with how the offense is run in these first two games? No, I'm not. I think there are still old Mike Woodson tendencies. I can still see it, right? Half-court offense gets very stagnant at times. The ball struggles to move around the perimeter, and it doesn't get inside a whole lot. I still think this is a team, right, that needs to work from the inside out rather than trying to go outside in. And I saw a little hesitancy, I guess is the right word, from the guards on Sunday to get into the lane. But overall, in terms of your three-point shooting, right, 6 of 18, 33% will absolutely take it. One thing I did notice, though, that's a little odd for a team that does score so much in the lane. Only 8 of 12 from the free throw line. And 8 of 12, the misses are whatever. 66% is not good, but it's a very small sample size. Right? Only 12 free throws. This team's got to do better than that. This team needs to be shooting 20 plus every single game, and then they need to knock them down. If you're getting makes from Ballo and Renew, you're going to be in good shape. If those guys start missing, well, then you're in trouble. All right, rebounding numbers were fantastic. You out-rebound them 38-26. You're supposed to do that against a team like that. This is the number I want to talk about, though. This is the number I want to talk about. Indiana made 38 shots on Sunday. 38 shots. Pretty good. You scored 90 points on 38 buckets. That's pretty solid. On those 38 shots, Indiana assisted on 26 of them. 26 assists on 38 shots. That means just 12 baskets were solo one-man show type of basketball. Only 12 shots were just by myself. One man going to get the bucket. Everything else was set up by a teammate. That's incredible. I don't care if it's in the first 5 minutes or the last 2 minutes when the game was already a blowout. Doesn't matter. This team has shown already through 2 games they are unselfish. They don't care who scores. They don't worry about it. You see that when they push the basketball in transition. I would be willing to bet that out of those 26 assists, 7 or 8 of those were in transition because they found the open man. They weren't worried about, oh, I have an opportunity to score. Let's go get 2 points. No, they don't care. They're looking for the open man. They'd work the basketball around and try to find the open dude and run through the offense, whether that's in the half court or they found a way to win a 3-on-2, 3-on-1, 2-on-1, whatever the case may be, right? That's really, really good because I have a feeling, right, last year, and I hate to keep bringing up last year, but I'm trying to give us something to compare it to hopefully show a little progress here, right? Last year, it was, all right, dump it down low, let Ware go to work. All right, where's Renew? Oh, there he is. All right, get it to him. And by the time he dribbles and spins and does all his mess last year, your assist doesn't count anymore, and it was solo basketball. Not this year. This team, and being able to shoot is such a huge factor there. You're going to see the assist numbers be pretty high for this Indiana team. But what that means is we're willing to share. And we're willing to trust our teammates and give them the basketball in hopes that they can knock it down. So that's a big part of it as well. Turnovers, you had 12 in 40 minutes. I always like to see that to be single digits, but I'm not going to complain about 12 when you force 17 on the other team. Fast break points, right? We were talking about this yesterday. 31 points fast break out of your 90. Did somebody go find this stat because I didn't look it up. Somebody go find the stat. Did Indiana have 31 points in a game fast break at all last year? Okay, did Indiana have 31 fast break points in any game a year ago? I'll try to go look that up as I'm kind of looking at this as I record this. I'd be willing to say they didn't. I'd be willing to say they did not have 31 fast break points in any game a year ago, and that's the difference with this team. That's the big difference. That's why you put up 90 points. That's the difference in 70 and 90 is putting up 31 in transition. This team can be really good. They can be really, really good if they play to their strength. If they play with energy, they play with focus, and they trust in each other, they can be a really good basketball team. And here's the good news. We're 2-0. We're a 2-0 basketball team to start the season before you prepare to take on South Carolina, UNC Greensboro, and Louisville. Not everybody in the Big Ten can say that. There's some interesting stories around this conference right now. I want to look at that and share with you what's happening in the Big Ten so far, how it impacts Indiana, and what we have coming up in our first Big Ten games in just a few weeks. We'll have that for you in our final segment right here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is my go-to ticketing app for any sort of event that you could possibly want. Sports, music, theater, comedy. I've used it for sports, music, comedy. I have family that have used it for theater, so at least those are all great on the Game Time app, and they have the best prices. They have your views from your seat. They just have everything that you could possibly need to never go anywhere else. They have a new feature right now. It's called Game Time Picks, and it makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams live even easier, right? It's going to filter out all the fluff, so it's going to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time scrolling and searching through thousands and thousands of tickets, all right? You've got their all-in pricing, which is when you toggle this feature, it shows you your total upfront, no surprise fees. The price you see is the price you pay. And with their lowest price guarantee, if not, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. All right. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first ticket purchase. All right. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers. And for those of you that are just discovering us for the first time, man, hope you're enjoying this. Hope that you are considering being a subscriber here. It's free. It's easy. Just takes one tap with your thumb on the YouTube side of things, and then you'll be notified every time we post a new episode. For those of you on audio, you can follow us over there, subscribe to us if it's a thing, and be sure you have those notifications turned on as well. And if you're looking for something else to watch or listen to get through that long work day, go check out Locked On College Basketball. Isaac and Andy, they do a fantastic job covering everything you need to know around college basketball. They've been busy this past weekend with all the big games. I mean, you had Baylor, Arkansas, Baylor, Gonzaga before that, Auburn, Houston. I mean, huge games that happen in college basketball. So they're covering everything you need to know around the sport. And tell them that I sent you from Locked On Hoosiers. And speaking of college basketball, we need to look around the Big Ten. I know it's early. Okay, I know it's early in this young college basketball season, but man, the Big Ten is already looking very strong, and a couple of teams have already taken a loss early. I'm looking at Michigan. I'm looking at Northwestern, UCLA, and Washington, right? Remember, that's a Michigan team that I said is going to be really good. And I still think they are going to be good. They just fell to a tough Wake Forest team the other day, 72-70. They're going to learn from that. I'm very confident that Michigan will be just fine and respond. But the one that surprises me, how about UCLA? Did you see this? They beat Rider in their opener. Folks, they lost to New Mexico 72-64 over the weekend. To New Mexico at home in UCLA. What in the world? Now 2-0 New Mexico. Everybody had that one, right? Everybody had New Mexico going to UCLA. Oh, apologies. Looks like that game was in Nevada. Who cares? Anyway, UCLA still loses 72-64 for a team that's ranked in the top 25, by the way. Got to check in on our friend Zach Anderson Yoxheimer from Locked On UCLA. Look, this just shows that, I'll be honest, I didn't even watch this game because I didn't think it was anything special. And then all of a sudden you look at the score and UCLA loses, right? It shows what college basketball is this year. It shows what I've been talking about for so long with football and now basketball, where all these little teams that nobody's ever worried about, nobody's ever been concerned with, the New Mexicos of the world, right? They can get anybody at any time. It takes one player now. And in basketball, it's always taken one player. But think about with NIL and transfer portal, all you've got to do is go find a diamond in the rough, man. You got to go find one dude, one player that gives you a chance to be competitive. And teams like New Mexico can beat UCLA, which is why I'm telling you, a win over Eastern Illinois, 90-55. It may not have looked pretty for Indiana in the first half. It was actually pretty ugly, but a win is a win, man. And you have to be grateful for that because they're not as easy to come by in non-conference play as they used to be, right? In years past, your easy non-conference schedule was easy and you didn't really stress about it. We were concerned a year ago when Indiana couldn't beat, the teams on their schedule, but now the likes of Morehead State and things like that. But man, this is a different era. It really, really is. And so we complain about how Indiana's non-conference schedule is weak and doesn't have big teams on it, but you can't treat it that way if you're Mike Woodson and this Indiana coaching staff and the guys on the team, because teams can get you. New Mexico's can get up and get you. And Indiana now has to focus on South Carolina coming up. And then you've got Louisville and those teams right there in the tournament as well. But other than that, everybody's off to a hot start. Some teams have only played once, right? Rutgers and Ohio State only got one game under the belt, which is kind of weird. Wisconsin's got 3 games under their belt so far. It's very early in the season, but the fact that you have a top 25 team in UCLA who's already gone down, teams who are struggling early in college basketball, it's going to be something to watch, man. You still look around the overall just at what the Big Ten is going to have in terms of top 25. Again, UCLA there for now. Indiana, Purdue still hanging around in there. It's not a solid Big Ten conference yet in terms of rankings, but I think we're going to get there. And I think it's going to be very deep. I told you that in my predictions a few weeks ago. I just think we're going to be a deep conference, and I'm excited to see how it all gets started, how Indiana plays out in that conference. And reminder for Indiana, our first 2 conference games are Minnesota on December 9th and then at Nebraska on December 13th. Couple of more non-con games, and then we start again with Rutgers right here at home. That's a top 25 Rutgers team on January 2nd. So keep all that in mind. We got Big Ten play right around the corner. Really, really looking forward to it. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again for being here. To all my everydayers, I love you guys. You are super, super supportive, and it means the world to me. Be sure that if you're on audio, you followed us there, you've turned on your notifications. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. Do whatever you got to do to where you never miss a new episode. And for those of you on YouTube, like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. All right, we are a 5 days a week podcast plus reaction episodes on the weekends when we have a chance. So if you missed that one yesterday, go check that out, the reaction episode for football and basketball. It's a combo, full 30-minute episode. So go check that out on the channel, okay? We're back tomorrow, Hoosier fans. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.